Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Division 1 League of Legends Twitch channel here as we are into Week 4 of our Div 1 League of Legends action with one of our 2 matches going on today on our stream on the Twitch side. It will be West Virginia Mountaineers taking on the Maryville Saints, and you've got a couple of new faces popping up on your feed. I, of course, will be your play-by-play today, Leo Slayer Silverman, joined by my good friend and ever-dashing suit master, Quacks, on the other side. Quacks, excited to be on another cast with you, friend. It's been a little bit, and hey, we've set ourselves up with a new home here at Div 1. Getting a look at the best league the Collegiate NA League's got to offer.
It's been a fat minute since I've been able to do anything related to the Collegiate League space, so I am thrilled to be back and still casting with you, Slayer. But I want to tell you, I was really impressed that you were able to actually point the right way. See, I pointed the wrong way. I cannot tell you how many times my co-caster has been, I'm so excited to be joined by X-caster, and then points the wrong way and then looks silly. But you, my friend, you made it look seamless, I must say, as both of these teams are looking to make their week number 4 splashes seamless as well with this series. It's like you said, it's West Virginia University, the Mountaineers, versus the immortal Maryville University, the Saints, like you said. And yeah, I feel like this is certainly a David versus Goliath-esque story here tonight, Slayer.
Without a doubt here, Quacks is also, the 2 sides of the standings, right? The Maryville undefeated squad, and then West Virginia still looking to, put together, a competitive campaign so far up against a favorite opponent in Maryville. But let's introduce our 2 rosters for today, because I specifically want to talk about the Maryville side of this one. We've seen a couple different iterations of their roster come across with how many players they could go to. But for today, boys at a heavy-hitting lineup there for the MU side. Crimson in the top side. Music comes in at jungle. Toasty in the mid lane. Scary Jerry alongside Cryogen. So you've got a great mix on the Maryville side. Quacks of some veterans of the space in Tier 2 and Collegiate with a lot of winning behind them. Guys like Crimson, Scary Jerry, Music, and then the young prodigies, NA hopeful prospects in Toasty and Cryogen. Two of the highest prospects, I'd say, right now in developmental League of Legends in their roles.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone gets very, very excited to see Toasty play, very hyped to see what this guy's ceiling is capable of getting up to. A lot of people put him in the discussion as one of the, mid laners that could potentially make it to the LCS, then LTA, then back to LCS next year, if he is able to kind of crack that upper crust of what his potential is told to be. And I do think that if there is any program, any organization that is capable of getting him to that level that everyone seems to be hyping him up for, it is the Maryville University program. These guys have built superstars in the North American League of Legends space, and Cryogen as well. A long time coming. I feel like this guy has been blocked so many times from a bunch of hype opportunities that he has been given. So it's really cool to see Maryville take a chance on him and allow him to be the replacement for Zyko, now carrying the Maryville banner from here on out.
And then you guys look at the Mountaineers on the other side, the challengers in our matchup. It's going to be very fun to watch to see how their roster continues to develop. We talked a bit about on Tilt Proof, as we'll talk about with Shibby. Kind of just for a team that is splitting time with players both playing on the Valorant side and the League side. Yeah. The one good thing is you're getting a lot of reps right in this environment, in this Division 1 environment, up against the Maryville team. I do really feel like it's kind of in a good spot where they can simplify things. I'm looking for them to approach drafts in a very simplistic sense, right, Quacks? Because whenever you talk about, as you mentioned, like a Goliath or David challenging a Goliath in a matchup like this, you want to just put together a composition from draft that's very seamless to execute. Once we get into draft, Quacks, I know you'll talk about endlessly about champion pairings that work in the meta for that. But it's also, trying to figure out your comfort picks, right? I think it's always good to spice that up, because if you go like full meta slate and try and play Maryville in a comp that they're very comfortable playing against, it's very hard to make work.
And I'm glad that you mentioned kind of the pocket picks that are being piloted by West Virginia University, because that's what the Mountaineers did in week number 3 up against Boise State. That really, I think, allowed them to take their first win of the Division 1 season. We saw things like the Vigar, right, in the mid lane. We saw picks in the top lane like the Mundo that are a little bit more seldom used by some of those more meta-esque top laners, right? And so I do think that those curveballs could be something for them to look at to possibly, give Maryville a bit of a run for their money. But particularly, I like that you talked about the players that are splitting time, because there's one player on this roster that I really want to bring up, Slayer, and that is Dinks. Dinks, in week number 3, when they were playing their match up against Boise State, he had a combined score of 22, 4, and 9 in the AD carry role on both his Sivir and his Zeri. And I feel like this is a player who really showed up last week and really was there along with his support and Suze to win those 2v2s. They were really dominant in the lane. And I do think that if there is any lane that you should be looking at for West Virginia University, it's got to be that bot lane.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if they prioritize the bottom lane to play through here, Quacks, as we are set for our game 1 draft here, and we're going to dive right in with Maryville on that blue side. We can talk a little bit about what do blue side power picks look like. There's a lot of discussion. Obviously, I've been able to get a look at a lot of the Tier 1 international slates so far, but homegrown, NA, collegiate, what's been a big priority? Back to the bottom lanes, right? I think it's a lot of Zeri Lulu that we've seen, and most importantly, the Lucian that I know Scary Jerry is going to want to get a hold of if he can in this matchup. Maybe not a big B1 pick, but definitely 2 bottom lane pairings, Lucian Nami, Zeri Lulu, to look out for from either one of our teams as we get a Zaya ban, start out the blue side, and then Bessa respect over towards Crimson from the Mountaineers.
And I'm glad that you're talking about bot lane, because I think that obviously that's going to be where the focus is for West Virginia University as a point of attack, trying to get their AD carry ahead, making sure that Dinx's conditions are good throughout the game and throughout the series. But I also think that this is a point of, possible concern here for Maryville. I think the most we've seen in terms of struggle from these guys, obviously they're 3-0, so struggle hasn't really been a part of their journey in Division 1 so far. But the most they've had to work was in that series of week number 2 when they were up against St. Clair. And in that case, Lig and Miracle, I think in both of those early lane phases, got the better of Scary Jerry and Krausian. They were winning out in 2v2s. They were burning sums. They were catching out the Maryville bot laners on timers that you wouldn't normally expect from these players. And so I do want to see a little bit of that rebound. Obviously, they performed really nicely in week number 3 when it came to facing Ohio State, but you still have to be a little bit wary of not overestimate or underestimating your opponents, right? Not walking up too far and getting picked. So I'm looking at this bot lane, both because I think that West Virginia University can really accelerate theirs, and because Maryville at the same time have had a few moments where they look like Scary Jerry and Krausian quite haven't clicked in the way that you would expect.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part, that I think the approach for Clerky and the rest of the league team behind the scenes is trying to maybe figuring out what pairings they like most, because this is definitely a new age of Maryville. They had a pretty solid roster from the last couple of years in CLOL. Now they're trying to figure out what pairing is going to be most powerful for. You talked about the bottom lane. It's also going to be things like, what does jungle look like with Shimmer and Music? Music obviously being a much more vocal type of leadership player. We'll see if that shows up in this draft so far, as we are going to get the Cryogen Bard alongside the Corky for Scary Jerry, while West Virginia are leaning towards a bit more safety and maybe playing for Dinx to just kind of outscale this Corky. You always have to be worried about a Sivir just outscaling a comp if he gets to 3 items, and so far, Quacks, the classic Sivir check is here for the Mountaineers. A lot of low range, so there aren't a lot of champions that I don't think Dinx will not be able to auto-attack if this game gets later and you get those items behind this Sivir.
I also get this Alistar a little bit of a seal of approval here, because it's got really good disengage with that headbutt, just being able to throw Crimson away in case he tries to get onto the back line. Doing the same with Scary Jerry, I think in the laning phase is going to be a really nice thing to buy Dinx that space to leverage that range Slayer that you were talking about. As for the side of West Virginia University, we do see, we talked about it a little bit, but it is going to be Inox going for his Mundo here up against the Jax, which pretty good matchup for the Mundo. Obviously, there is the caveat to you probably getting outscaled, and both of these top laners really wanting to get grubs. So I do think that having 2 split pushers for both sides really increases the value of that top side objective. But early game, I'm really looking at Inox to just toss those cleavers, hit his marks, and possibly get some priority over Crimson, knowing the Jax can't really all in you in those first few minutes.
But yeah, back what you talked about, Quacks, right? For a simplistic game plan for WVU. Right now, we've created a huge good front line for Dinx. This is a Mundo and Alistar. They'll be able to provide a lot of space, soak a lot of damage coming in. So this game already, you're going to likely see Maryville look to play pretty fast. And with that Vladimir locked in for West Virginia, if this game can extend long enough, you definitely love where this composition is at so far. And we don't even know which lane the Vladimir is going towards yet.
I would assume it's going to be in the mid lane, but I feel like this could have been a really good Silas angle. Look at the ultimates on West Virginia University, but they're going to lock in the Mel instead, which is an interesting idea, unless they're deciding to put like the Corky in the mid lane. You don't get a ton of rebuttal value from this matchup, but you do, similar to what we said about the Sivir versus the Corky, where you leverage the range. I think the same concept kind of applies to the mid lane, where Mel should never be in the crosshairs of this Vladimir to get full comboed. That's a Talon. That's a Talon jungle, Slayer.
Yeah, that is 100% going to be sour on the Talon jungle. So this is going to be fun. This is kind of what we talked about, right? Is the
my
Mountaineers?
assassin heart.
Yeah, I know that thing's kicking up a couple beats per minute by this point. But this is the fun part, right? You got some meta champions. The Alistar Sivir bottom lane makes a lot of sense, but then the Mountaineers are trying to kick up the altitude a bit and get even more comfortable in their home environment with this Talon jungle for sour. And You've got Aeolios on this Vladimir as well.
Yep.
But Quacks, I do, as we get a full look at this draft, want to talk a bit about, on the other side, a champion that I'm also not very familiar with for a guy like Toasty. What do you think about the Mel angle in a game like this? We haven't seen a ton of Mel tape from Toasty, definitely not on this collegiate scene yet either.
No, I think that Toasty, when I think about Toasty, I think more about the burst mages, and I also think about some of the AD assassins that he can pilot. I think Toasty's Yone is something that I kind of can associate with him. He's also just more prone to being up in your face from time to time. So seeing a champion like Mel, who is the complete antithesis of that, you just kind of sit back and throw down your Q, throw down your E. I think it's going to be a nice style change and is going to give him a bit more dimensionality as a player. As for the matchup itself, like you outrange the Vladimir, you have similar scaling to the Vladimir. It's hard to say that for any champion, right? Because of how hard Vladimir as a champion actually scales into the late game. I'm sure it makes your ADC Heart Slayer bleed from
I hate it.
all angles. It's an absolute nightmare. But I'm excited to see what he's capable of. I also think that he's been built around pretty nicely here. The Jarvan is a good little pairing so that you can get a pseudo hot pot combo going on. You add in some spice with the Corky Valkyrie, and oof, it's a Michelin star chef meal here from Maryville University, Slayer.
Well, we're on to the Rift with the Saints and the Mountaineers. Game number 1 of Week 4 as we approach the halfway point of our Division 1 League of Legends fall split here. I do want to remind all of our viewers, our loyal Div 1 viewers, that we have already been privy to a Vladimir Penta in Division 1 this split so far.
Yes.
Aeolios, if you could put one together here against the top dogs in Maryville, what a story that would be. We're still looking for our big dark horse to try to name behind the the proverbial top 3 squad, and all it really takes is couple games of League to do so. Starting out with game 1 as we start to see a bit of poking and prodding for some vision control here. It's going to be Crygen and Scary Jerry going to push Ensues off of the Tri-Brush, and Scary Jerry already getting his bag with a little bit of damage. It's going to be a ward, though, on the top side that I want to point out. Quack's Music is going to get to track this very fast clear on Sour's Talon. Maybe educate the people a little bit at home, Mr. Assassin
Look
Jungler
at Sour.
player. Oh.
Sour is doing some Kyrie 5-second rule tactic here. He's actually going to invade the blue, but there's no blast cone.
I don't think Music has any idea. It's just going to be a 50-50 smite, but bot side we see an engage already from
Wait, Sour didn't get it.
On to Scary Jerry. So Sour's in a tough spot with the stun landing from Cryogen. Scary Jerry 1 auto short from finding first blood. Do see some pretty good trade back from Dinks, and Scary Jerry's going to use the heal and the barrier. It's more than enough. It's going to be a flash from Cryogen. He's going to get the kill. Full range auto. First blood of the Bard, and the Saints is topside. Sour! What? Sour just killed Music 1v1. He's level 1, Quacks.
What? Level 1? Wait. How? Because Music got the smite on the blue buff, so he ended up getting that 50-50 off. It went awry. Hang on,
Ensues. Oh, the Foster Swamp doesn't hit. Crygen's going to die. Ensues doesn't die either. He gets the heal from the Alistair passive. Oh, he tries to flash knock up Scary Jerry. Does find the trade kill. Wow. We are all gas and no brakes to start off our series today, Quacks.
This is kind of what we talked about, what we alluded to here, Slayer, where Maryville have been a little bit sloppy in their early games, as they do have just mayhem across the map for themselves. It's 2 for 2 in the kill department at the end of the day, and I think a lot of that gold allocated to the right members, specifically Scary Jerry. Not dying there, at the very least, is good for his conditions, as the wave should be able to push back and go to him. But this has been the danger for Maryville, is just having very, very bloody early games and not necessarily having an ability to reel it in. So I want to see them kind of bounce back, take a couple of deep breaths and say, all right, let's just do what we do best in the laning phase, and let's not give these guys any tools to work with.
It makes so much more sense. It's awesome to see this West Virginia University squad. Oh boy, okay. Crimson, another trade actually. He's gonna die to the turret.
Or not.
It is a little bit worth for Inox. Ooh, that next wave doesn't get under the turret. So he's gonna be able to TP and not actually lose many minions. It's actually kind of a handshake, faster reset here for the top laners. But bot side, look at Scary Jerry. He's Valkyrieing right on top of Dinks. Uses the spell shield a little bit late, but Ensues does get the stun. Problem is, Music makes this a 3 versus 2, and Dinks has no summoners, and one more bap with the flag on the drag. We'll get Music a kill for Maryville here, as they are prioritizing bot lane dominance in game 1.
Music, I think smartly, not going to look for any invade onto Sour's jungle camps here. Even though he has the prio in bot side, it is just a case of Sour on the Talon having that longsword, so there is an item advantage, but it's also just really hard to track Talon jungle. This is one of the main appeals and why he's such a good solo queue jungler is he's literally impossible to actually know where he is, unless, of course, he's on a ward, which is actually the case. So he is seen on that Gromp, and because of that, you can see Music decides to move on in and should be able to get back some trade in camps, which is something he desperately needs, because looking at the CS, neither of these junglers are really privy to farming their jungle camps, are they?
No, it's just been war on every front on those jungle camps, and while it is West Virginia a bit behind in gold thanks to a lot of the bottom lane plays, the point I wanted to make earlier, knowing West Virginia as a college, you know, their identity across all of their athletics, and they're even now seeing in this league program. I love the scrappiness, right? I think back to a West Virginia school with some of those great football teams, like the Geno Smith-led rosters, Tavon Austin highlights. They're just a scrappy team. When you come to play them, you're playing their style, and you got to keep up the pace. So far, Maryville has done a decent job doing that, and they have themselves a lead, but you know with this talent for Sour, he's going to look for more avenues to try and affect the map here. As Music is going to force the pool out of Aeolios, and that gank will fall a bit flat at the first point.
Probably going to be forced under his tower now. They should unlock Music to go for the
Crimson.
dragon, knowing... Oh, hang on.
And down goes Inox. Yep, Crimson is in his bag on this Jax into a friendly matchup. It's also going to be Toasty finding the solo kill thanks to that Mel ultimate. Aeolio's a bit late on the flash there, so Maryville really starting to ramp up in their solo lanes as well to bring the gold lead up to about 2,000 before we even crest 6 minutes.
Yeah, you blink and you miss it. Both the solo lanes get a kill. They get prio as well, which also means Music should secure this dragon. But I like that point that you kind of brought up earlier on the broadcast, Slayer, where it's trying to, you know, find your identity or fit that dark horse team here for Division 1 and wondering if it could be West Virginia University that ends up being that team. And I feel like as the brand new program, being able to get into top 6 and make playoffs would have huge implications for them and the future of this program. And this is the biggest hurdle, right? This is the most arduous one. This is consensus best team in Division 1. So being able to summit, the Mountaineers being able to summit this hurdle, I think would go a really long way for making that dark horse narrative actually come true and that playoff stream continuing to stay alive.
Because it's top 6, right? So
yeah.
Right now, West Virginia, with the 1-2 record, you've got 2 winless squads. I know Boise State right now is taking on the Golden Eagles on our YouTube stream. If you're looking for that one, make sure you can go find that one there. So you've got 0-4 Utah Utes and 0-3 Boise in a game they're not favored to. West Virginia definitely don't need to panic about making playoffs. That's why in this matchup against our top dogs in Maryville, really want to see them just kind of settle into what their style is going to be. And right now, it's this Vladimir and Talon pick as we're going to see Leos go all in with the Hemo Plague, trying to trade back with Toasty. Going to just throw down a Reflect for now and block a ton of that damage coming through.
Yep. The secondary value of Rebuttal, just being able to absorb all of that damage. This is why all the Assassin players hate Mel, and possibly why Sour might hate Mel later down the line if that Talon sees an angle onto Toasty Alex and tries to go for the full combo, but Mel just hits W. Well, then there you go. GG, well played. It's a hard life out here for us Assassin players, ladies and gentlemen.
Boy. Oh no. I really hope this isn't what I think it is.
Well, I really hope this isn't what I think it is.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know we've had some DDoSes, yeah.
As Levin put it.
Yeah, I think our Lord and Savior Drew Levin is reporting some issues on the LoL servers front, and that might just be what we are stat with here about 8 minutes in. We're gonna try and figure out what the technical difficulties are on that front. So yeah, it sounds like there's a pause going on in game. Hopefully that's not what's going on. I know it's been pretty hard these last couple of days. League of Legends, especially I think it's majorly. Is it majorly been the North America?
It's been like
Latin
everyone.
servers?
I think like people were talking about it being NA, but I think EU West was hit too. And then like Latam or whatever.
Yeah.
was also hit. So yeah, these DDoS attacks or whatever they're being referred to as by Riot have been pretty rampant over the past 24 hours. I haven't played a single game of League, and
I played
I'm glad
one.
my LP isn't at stake.
Yeah. I played one when it happened. It was definitely very weird. The experience you get in the game is just like a full freeze, then your ping goes to exactly 446 ms. Oh, all right. It's not.
All right,
we're fine. You know what? Let's no more doom and gloom here. We get back to live, and Inox is unfortunately gonna have to use the maximum dosage to survive a trade with Cryogen and Scary Jerry. But Quacks, let's talk about the swap that MU are going for now, bringing Crimson down to the bottom side. 1 versus 2, or maybe 1 versus 3. We've been waiting to see when Sour wants to spring the trap on this Talon.
And Zeus has 6, so that Unbreakable Will is there. They can certainly go for it.
Inox doesn't have maximum dosage, gets a huge W heal though. Scary Jerry has to flash out a turn. Cryogen also picks it up next after he uses the Tempered Fate, but they're able to get the kill just at the last second. Crimson on his 1 versus 3 gets away from the Ensue's knock-up. Good flash away from the amount of damage for the Talon. Crimson outplaying this dive masterfully. Dinks is going to drop the aggro, and they have to let Crimson go. So both dives, one in favor of Maryville on either sides of the map.
Yeah, has Flash, has the new buffed up Grandmaster's Might as well. Even through the Unbreakable Will, West Virginia University are not able to make the dive happen. Meanwhile, though, Maryville on that top side do, by the skin of their teeth, get that kill into Inox, moving on TP.
This is Crimson. Magical Journey, Cryogen forward. Dinks could call on that summoner. He's going to have to use it, but he's holding both Barrier and Flash. I think he realizes he might be just as good as dead, and he's going to give the kill up to Crimson, who goes on a killing spree. Good job from Crimson. He guards his own turret 1 versus 3 and then earns the spoil of his defense by TPing back in to find himself another kill.
I think Maryville having a really good read on West Virginia University so far, understanding that Dinks last week really was the sword that allowed them to pierce the Boise State boys in week number 3. And so they are aptly targeting this Sibber, making sure that he isn't really able to have a cordial scaling game on this scaling pick. And so that has resulted in him now being 0-3 ahead of Second Dragon. This is not a position you want your AD carry to be in, Slayer. And now this really isn't a position you want to be in, period, as a jungler.
Nope, your camp's beginning to get taxed here for Sour. Can try and use that Assassin's Path to maybe steal this and get creative. He's going to go all in for the blue buff, doesn't get it, and eats a whole amount of damage there from Toasty, who definitely starts to hit like a truck. Good Cataclysm there from using the Sanguine Pool. Is going to protect you for a little bit, Aelios, but you can't get out of the trap. It's a double kill back over to Toasty, and the Saints really starting to roll here as we cruise into the mid-game with them nearing a 6K gold lead.
And I really like that play coming out from Maryville. I wonder who actually called for it, because they know that off of that dive, West Virginia University used a ton of resources to try and kill Crimson that they wouldn't have to defend that blue side. So they get Prio, they move everyone to that side of the map, and they take advantage of the fact that Western just don't have the tools in order to fight back. The result is a double kill for Toasty, and now this Mel, along with those grubs, should have such an easy time generating gold for the next 3 minutes while these plates are up.
Not a lot of good damage towards that bot side plate, though. I think that is what helps Dinks get some of this gold back versus Scary Jerry. Inox, once again, pretty low, a dive threat potential, but Sour, good job covering for his top laner here. They also roam Ensue's up as well. Inox obviously has the maximum dosage to get a lot of health back. I think that's what's stopping Scary Jerry for maybe dumping all of the damage over onto this Mundo. They're just going to take those valuable plates like you were talking about, Quacks.
Cryogen is 1v1ing Sour.
That backup stream of gold is, oh boy, Dinks. The barrier, good flash. We'll keep him alive versus Crimson, but man, Crimson looking locked in on this Jax. No matter how many people they throw at him at this point. Ooh, double stun from Cryogen.
Oh my god, Crimson!
Oh, and Toasty is soloed out. Aelios on the mid lane as well. Sour is out. Inox finally has to pop that maximum dosage. Cryogen, he's trying to take a magical journey that Ensue's and Inox will also take. Stun gonna land. Cryogen kiting back. He still has the Tempered Fate if he needs it. But there's just not enough damage with the 2 tanks slapping him around to make that a real threat.
Nope, and he's being really careful about stepping up. He has vision on that bush, so he knows they're in the try, and they could maybe wrap around to try and get another crack at killing him, but almost exactly on time with one another. Maryville get 2 towers, so a ton of gold into their coffers because of that.
It opens up so much more map space too, right? You talk about what neutrals are we looking to go for next. You've got a Rift Herald spawning, having mid lane open like that, very helpful. Still a couple minutes away from the third dragon of the game spawning on the Rift here, so it's going to allow for guys like Cryogen on this very, cheeky Bard to move on up. You're going to have music with the Flag and Drag. These are comfortable escape avenues that you can use to really start setting up a vision line forward as we see Cryogen grabbing chimes and starting the vision war already on that top red side jungle.
Yeah. You can also see they move Scary Jerry up to the top side, because that is the only lane that still has a tower on it for the side of West Virginia University. A little bit surprised they didn't actually opt to put Crimson in the top lane, because it's a lot more difficult for Jax to get away if he's like pushed up too far. And West Virginia, if they want to look for a collapse, will have an easier time possibly getting to him. And he just puts his life on the line more often by going up his... Oh my god! I didn't even think that would kill.
Yep, that is one big golden eclipse, and Sour is down, trying to work his way back into his own jungle. West Virginia, I want to see them start, overloading to answer these plays and maybe pick off these side lanes right now, right? Because it feels like right now it's an all-out blitz coming through for Maryville. They're not letting the Mountaineers get comfortable anywhere. So let's overload and try and punish maybe Crimson on this side lane. Right now they're trying to cover Inox in the last tier 1 turret. It's Ensues that's caught in between both turrets. The Unbreakable will be broken by the pointed spear of the music. Another kill for Toasty, and Inox is going to lose the safety of his turret sooner rather than later. Good job getting up on the wave to make sure they can't walk up to the turret, but with the grubs and the void mites, yeah, it's just too much to bear. Inox is going to go down to a Cataclysm golden combo from Toasty as well. Flash to the mid lane, and Scary Jerry's going 1v2. Sour, good job springing the trap with that Shadow
the bleed.
Assault.
What?
The bleed, though, going to come up just short, and Scary Jerry's going to survive. I wonder if Sour just goes all out to dive under this turret. Nope, they're going to let Scary Jerry live.
That is insane. He gets literally 1 HP and decides, I gotta catch this wave, guys. Absolute Giga Chad mentality there from Mr. Jerry. He will be able to, in fact, go for that wave. Sour is not going to commit for that kill on the Talon. Every single attempt West Virginia make at a play, it just gets thwarted, and now Sour can't even farm his frog slayer, poor man.
Well, no access to that Gromp. This is what you see from, high-level Bard gameplay. It's limit testing. It's why Bard can be such a fun champion to watch play on the Rift, and Cryogen is really exuding the limits of this one, setting up music for more camps taken. It's just so suffocating, right? When you have all these tier 1 turrets down already, you can't really interact in your own jungle. Susan's going to throw Cryogen under the tier 2 turret, but one magical journey can heal all ailments if you're Cryogen.
Interesting play by Ensues, but all Cryogen has to do is take the portal, and he's right back to his team and the safety of their presence. Dragon coming up in about 50 seconds, and I mean, you at this point, Slayer, have to believe it's just owned by Maryville. They're 11k gold up, a lot of that evenly dispersed throughout all the members, and now Sour, oh boy.
Shadow Assault to buy some time in the invisibility, music and a dunk down with the Cataclysm he's holding on to. Inox not going to get snared by the Mel here, has that spell shield, pops maximum doses to stay safe, but it's just Maryville kind of rotating as a unit through different parts of the map and see who they can punish while doing so.
Not even necessarily forced to start up that dragon on spawn. They could very easily go for the Herald, charge it, and get as much pressure as humanly possible, because honestly, at this point, you're accelerating 100 miles an hour down this highway if you're Maryville, and I do think that the time it would take to go for the dragon might stall you out and give West Virginia University a chance to just collect their thoughts and collect some CS while they're at it, which they had previously not been allowed to do. I say that and it sounds like I'm joking, but no, every single lane has just been under patrol by the Maryville boys. They are literally not letting them pass certain points of the map, Slayer.
And now they'll set themselves up for an Ocean Soul at about 22 minutes with this secure. Cryogen going to show the limits of the Bard like we talked about as he gets engaged on by Ensues. A Breakable will pop as Toasty does show up. No snare on the Bard queue so far. Sour going to try and kite back towards Inox, but the problem with this comp is if the Alistar gets deleted like that, where is your engage if you are the Mountaineers? Tempered Fate also going to grab Sour, and he tries to Shadow Assault over the wall, but it's a double kill coming across for Toasty. And now we're going to see how fed this Mel really is, and the answer is the tune of a triple kill for the Superstar MU mid lane of Future.
And I love seeing Toasty on this pick, Slayers. Like we said in the draft, we're so used to this guy going for the burst mages or going for the champions that are a little bit more up in your face. Things like the Akali, things like the Sylas, even the Yone comes to mind when I think of Toasty Alex. So to see him on a champion like Mel, who is nothing playstyle-wise like those champions that we mentioned, and him dominating in this game, it just gets those Toasty Alex stonks up all the more. If you aren't subscribing to this guy's potential, now is the time to start.
Really feels like the sky has been the limit for Toasty in his progression as a potential future professional League of Legends player. And ever since he made the move to Maryville, it felt like, well, when one of the greatest collegiate programs of our current era recognizes that, it's a match made in heaven. And so far in Division 1, Toasty has been on a tear. You think about all our statistical numbers that you can check out on the amazing Division 1 website. Toasty in the top 5 of the huge metrics you think about, like CS per minute and gold difference at 15. This guy has just been on another level. Without a doubt, the front runner for best mid laner in Division 1 this split.
Absolutely.
Oh, no.
A lot of, I think, the players... Oh, God.
Wait, was that... Maybe that was from earlier, okay? Listen, I still see people moving around. Yeah, okay. I think this is what happened earlier. I can confirm that Toasty is currently moving. Oh, my God. Are we going to go through all 10 champions?
I
Let's see.
think so.
Let's see. Quacks, that's hilarious. Everybody is here. Everyone, no need to panic. We're seeing the top
Inox
side
has
play.
to disconnect fast, though.
Yeah. Oh, the stun there from Crygen was just on point. Scary gets the last rocket in. Inox trapped in a death chamber known as the Cataclysm, and Toasty Alex goes legendary as MU looks to press on for another tier 2 turret. We're going to see how well Dinks can cover, because you know Cryogen's going to hunt for those stuns. Good spell shield there from Dinks to make sure he doesn't get caught by Cryogen. Still has to use the flash, but a good quick reaction there from the Mountaineers AD carry.
Yep. And now, though, Maryville, even though it is Dinks that ends up surviving, same cannot be said for his base. The Herald is just charging in. They get their first inhibitor. Are we going to get a Shelly dance here, Slayer? Is it possible?
They're going to try for it. Nope, Shelly's going to get cut down.
No!
Nexus turret falls, but Maryville still keeping the pedal to the metal. It looks like they might want to go for the win here, but instead they will exercise some caution and back out. They do have an Octocon to play for now as we've crested the 20-minute mark.
This is a rough game here for the side of West Virginia University, but still, I think that they are playing the game pretty respectfully. And even though he hasn't gotten a lot of time to shine in this game, I feel like Dinks still has had some really good instincts when it comes to this game on the Sivir. But Maryville just had such a good read going into this match where they were like, okay, he popped off in week number 2 as...
All right,
That's not a good sign. It happened again.
Yeah, it looks like it went down again, so it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight for the server issues here for the League of Legends client. But if our last little break was any sign, we should be back up sooner rather than later. It does give us a point, Quacks. I did want to talk about it a bit while we had some downtime before the Octocon start. Let's take a look back at this West Virginia draft, because we, I think we were very happy to see them lean on some comfort picks, right? You get Sour on this Talon jungle, you get Aeleos on this Vladimir mid that we've already seen shine in Division 1, but against a team like Maryville, I think to lean so much into scaling could be so difficult, right? I'd like to see maybe in our next game here for West Virginia, try and play super fast early game. That's how you can, catch a team like MU off. Waiting for a Vladimir and a Sivir and like a Mundo to get to 3 items, it just kind of opens the door for a game like we're getting right now up against the Saints.
I agree with you. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the stream, right, Slayer? We said that one of the roughest times for Maryville so far in the Division 1 season was that early game up against St. Clair. They were making a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. They were getting a lot of flashes burned. They were losing some of those 2v2s. So I feel like that early game certainly is the point to exploit if you are the team going up against Maryville University. But that can be a little bit of a very scary prospect when these are the names that you're expected to be in the laning phase. I mean, these are guys with just insane pedigree, right? It's a very, very daunting task to tell yourself, all right, as long as I beat Crimson or Toasty Alex or Scary Jerry, LTA player, by the way, in the laning phase, I have a chance. Just saying that from a guy like me who is an outsider looking in is a very interesting sentence to say, but it is one that is unironically true, Slayer.
At the end of the day, we want West Virginia to use this time to establish their identity as a squad, and you can do that even if you are playing, like you mentioned, some very high caliber players, tier 1 on-looking players, developmental players like Toasty and Cryogen that are really to be feared, and why Maryville is 3-0. We're getting word that it is the classic unfortunate disconnect reconnect sort of ensemble. The server that our game is hosted on is going through a bit of trouble, so we are going to go into an intermission ourselves and wait for this one to shake on out and see on the other side if we can get Maryville to close out a pretty dominant game 1. We hope to be back soon, folks. Please stick with us.
Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard.
Well, welcome back live as we have a new fastest record here for Division 1, and it's one that I will wear proudly, or unfortunately proudly. Quickest break we ever have had in Div 1 history right there, and we are back live on the server. So we are back live into game number 1 here as we see MU start the march forward towards the base. Looks like Quacks, they don't really even care about Octagon. Instead, they're just going to look to find a couple more pick plays here. And Sue, good headbutt, though, to throw Music under the turret. Unfortunately, he's just a little bit too tanky to really punish that any further. And Sue's dropping for a 5th time. Flag and drag forward for Music. Look for the re-engage. Cryogen with another disgusting double barred stun. It's the Sanguine Pool that's going to get Aeolios out, but Sour cannot be said the same. Crimson goes right after him into the stage, so he drops the turret aggro, and there goes Aeolios down just next. Inox handing under the tier 2 turrets, thanks to the maximum dosage, but he will fall alongside the turret as well. And it's only Dinks that is able to step up and tell the tale of the fight that happened in the bot side. This should be the final march forward here from Maryville.
Yeah, I mean, it's Crimson tanking the aggro for so long that the Grandmaster's Might buffs were working as intended there with that dive, but now Maryville are working as intended. Their road to the 4-0 to continue their undefeated sweep. It continues, Slayer.
Only the Nexus to stand here, and a polished off another dominating win. Just another day at the office, it feels like, here for Maryville, as they go 1-0 up on our Mountaineers.
And a dominant game there from Maryville. We talked about the strengths of West Virginia, and Maryville attacked those with pinpoint accuracy and precision, Slayer. They never gave any of their players even a moment to breathe. And we already got to talk a little bit about game number 2, the strategies that West Virginia University should employ going forward. And I feel like we still have to stick with our guns here. It is about that early game. It is about trying to exploit Maryville before they are able to unlock that synergy, unlock that cohesion. Because past 14 minutes, I don't think any team has been successful at stopping these guys once they group together.
Yeah, it's really showing the innate power that a team like Maryville brings to this one. Was cool to see, though, right? Mostly, I want to say Cryogen and Toasty get a little bit deeper into their bag. A lot of the Cryogen reps, Quacks, you and I have seen in other spaces. Not a lot of Bard It's fun to see him pull the Bard out. He was really deadly
Yeah.
with these double stuns. And then, like we talked about, our MVP this game definitely has to be Toasty. That Mel was obliterating
Disgusting.
people within like 10 minutes of this game.
Yeah, like you said to your Kraujin point, he's usually known for the engages, right? When I think of Kraujin, I think of like Rakan, I think of Rel. I think that Bard certainly isn't a champion that we expect from the guy. So like you said, it's cool to see that dimensionality from him. And it's cool to see that extra little ante from Toasty on a champion that we don't necessarily associate with him either. So this is kind of the test for these players. I think that after, Zamudo and after Yuji, a lot of people look at this program as the one that breeds superstars, that builds up the next generation of talent. So to see the next generation of talent take a little bit of a different approach to the champions that they're playing and not necessarily stylize themselves to one specific point is really promising for the careers of these guys just as they're starting out with this program.
Well said there, Quacks, indeed. We will get set here for a Game 2 draft and talked a little bit about what we saw from West Virginia, in their 2-0 win over Boise. We already lost, the Dinks Siver that he played in that Game 1 in the win against Boise. We'll see if he maybe goes towards another hyperscaler, a Zeri champion, Aeolios. Maybe we'll see a Swain come out here. Sour has an Udyr that he can lean onto. Also a Talia jungle. So I don't think we're going to lose the creativity on drafts here from West Virginia. The question will become on the other side of our break, can it be enough to send our series the distance? We'll have to find out with that Game 2 draft. They'll be coming live to you guys after an intermission.
Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 Pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 Pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's match...
Welcome back, everybody, to your official Division 1 League of Legends Twitch channel. As our matchup of the day, West Virginia Mountaineers taking on the Maryville Saints, was one-sided in game number 1. But we took away some pretty constructive things to look for from West Virginia as they look to try and see if they can make it a series against our only undefeated team left in Division 1 split fall so far, Quacks.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about what we want to see from West Virginia going into game number 2. Constructive, like you said, Slayer. And a lot of that revolves around the first 14 minutes of the game, right? We talk about Maryville University's mortality showing in Division 1 so far. Really, that was shown against the series with St. Clair for week number 2, where they had a really sloppy early game, had a bunch of subs burned by them, and St. Clair did take advantage of that and make them work for it. So I want to see West Virginia University take a page out of their book, draft for the early game, and try to snowball us to a game number 3 if possible.
Which we'd like to see. I will say, champion pool wise, the tape we've seen from West Virginia, they do really love their scaling champions, right? The player that I want to bring up that I think is very good in that sort of comfortability zone is Aeolios in the mid lane here for the Mountaineers. Really loves the Vigar, the Swain mid lane pick. These like sort of nullifying lane mid laners and scaling threats. So I think that is kind of in the arsenal alongside the fact that they do have Dink as a hyper-scaling AD carry. But there are avenues to kind of set up that bridge to get to those 3-item power spiking damage dealers, right? There are champions that you can go towards in your other roles to kind of make sure the Maryville can't just slap you around silly in the early game, Quacks.
Yeah, and I feel like there are also champions that can do a little bit of both, right? I mean, obviously you've liked champions that can scale, can play for the late game and be those threats and have that lane neutralization like you said, Slayer. But if you want to go and go towards a different direction and say, I want a little bit of power in the early game on top of that scaling, there are champions that fit that build too. I felt like Vladimir somewhat fit that build, but you've also got some of the melee mids, right? You've got the Yone, like you've got the Syndra, who also had some buffs recently to her early game power in the most recent Worlds patch, does have that scaling with the splinters as well. So there are plenty of different avenues that I think Aeolios can take when it comes to this draft to have a little bit more agency in the early game that we want to see.
New addition to the draft, you're seeing at the bottom, if you're not too familiar, Fearless is in effect here. So those are all 10 champions off the board from game number 1 as we do hop into this game to draft. West Virginia going to be on the blue side here, making the swap off of their loss. And they will start off with a Rumble ban. It's still going to be respect towards Dinks' Zaya from the MU side here, and I don't really see Maryville changing up their bans a lot, switching sides here. I think they're just going to kind of take away those respect bans, as you like to call them, Quacks, is the same way we saw from game number 1.
Yeah, and for the side of West Virginia, I feel like a lot of the bans come from a place of just not wanting to get shoved around early, right? Like you can see what they're preparing for. The Rumble has some really good early trading power. Nidalee can really mess up the game's tempo by looking for those invades, similar, ironically, to what Sour actually did in game number 1 on the Talon, solo killing Music being level 1, whereas the Jarvan was level 2. I still wish we got to see how that happened, by the way, so I'm really sad that the camera was elsewhere, because that is just the most random thing I think I've ever seen. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of those first 14-minute dominant-esque characters being banned out here by the side of West Virginia University, now being on blue side yet again. I feel like the first pick has to come from one of the solo lanes. Yeah, and it is going to be the Cho'Gath. So this is kind of a good duality for them, Slayer, where Cho'Gath obviously does have the power in the early game with that sustain on passive, but also has the feast stacks to get some of the scaling on board, which is what this team likes.
And Quack, some flexibility, right, in the lane assignment. It could be, Aeolios going mid here. I think Shirelia's mid Cho'Gath with Hail of Blades is funny. It's fun, and it's still decently viable. And then you obviously have Inox that could take Cho'Gath towards the tankier top side route. For Maryville, though, it is a extremely powerful mid-jungle duo that they are able to get their hands onto. Music with the Vi and Toasty on the Talia. These are two of your premier picks in their allotted roles. But man, West Virginia are definitely still all about throwing the curveball right now. The Taric also going to be locked in, so a lot of sustain already coming through for this comp out of the Mountaineers.
And they're also not going to be counterpicking one of jungle or mid lane here for the side of West Virginia University. And they are going to just instead lock down their bot lane here. I wanted to say something with a bit more mobility. I think one of the most common pairings with Taric is things like the Tristana. I think Tristana Taric is super common. Kaisa Taric is common as well. But Lucian Taric, I think, like you said, really plays into that early game we want to see come out from this program, and particularly from Dinks and Insus, the guys who really put Boise in the dirt in that series last week.
And they should have themselves a positive lane matchup here. Jhin does have the range advantage, but yeah, the threat of a Taric stun coming from a Lucian dashing forward is a very big burst threat that both Scary Jerry and CryGen are going to have to account for here. As we do have, difference in draft order here, right? You talked about it below myself. We've got West Virginia with the bottom lane and likely the top lane locked up here, and then it's mid-jungle ADC on the other side. So these bans are going to become very pointed, and both teams are handshaking. That's an interesting Yone ban, Crimson Yone. They don't want to give Inox likely a matchup that is very hard to play through for this Cho'Gath, and then it's Aeolios that loses access to two very strong meta mage picks here, the Syndra and the Victor. So I wonder if we're going to get maybe that Swain. Quax, do you feel like the Swain kind of fits with the Taric, the Cho'Gath identity that the Mountaineers have right now?
I think if you go for the Swain here, you're going to run into a similar issue that you did as you were at Aeolios in game number 1, where you're just going to find yourself outranged for essentially the entire laning phase. You're not going to be able to get that priority for your jungler. You're not really going to be able to make plays around the map. Aeolios was literally gated in mid the entire game as this Vladimir, just jailed by the Mel the whole time. So I want to see something with a little bit more wave clear and a little bit more range, and I think Morgana does fit that bill. So this is overall, I would say, a pretty good response into the Talia. Also having that black shield is really useful against champions like Vi, and if you're looking to play around Dinks, I think this is the correct call.
Okay, so let's do some theory crafting here with these last two picks, right? Because I think both Nefiri and Morgana could reasonably be going mid or jungle, right? I think I've seen a lot of Morgana mid, but, you also have the jungle clear power, and Nefiri also feels a bit more like a jungler right now, but you can play it mid. Quacks, where do you think the lane assignments come across here for West Virginia? Because there's a lot of flexibility on the top side, I feel like.
I would imagine that this is probably Nefiri in the jungle, Morgana in the mid, and then Cho'Gath in the top lane. At least that's my read on it. I think if you're talking about characters that are best suited to take on Talia and making sure that Toasty can't just have free reign of the lane, Morgana's probably at the top of my list. I am kind of interested in this Nefiri, though. I actually tested this character a couple of weeks ago and was flabbergasted at how little damage this character actually does nowadays.
Oh.
Constant nerfs to the jungle. This champion's stats really are in the gutter. So I think it's going to be on West Virginia University to look for proactive plays. And anytime you have Morgana, basically the idea is you get Faded Ashes, insta-clear a wave, move with your jungler to make plays. And I feel like that is probably going to have to be a strategy that they employ going forward. And then same goes for Dinks and Ensues, right? Just look for that early game. Look to be that powerful 2v2 with the Lucian and the Taric. Overall, think that they learned from their mistakes in draft from game number 1 Slayer. This is a much more fast-paced comp. This is something that can snowball, and this is something that could give Marivel trouble in skirmishes. So a lot better here for the second game. The question is it going to be enough, my friend?
Well, and one more thing we could talk about, right, too, that we kind of glossed over because I threw that question at you really quickly first, Quacks. Got to give you your points. Does look like we're getting Sour on the Nefiri jungle and AO Leo's on the Morgana mid. So you called that one, buddy, but the R5 pick that we kind of skipped over, we are getting Crimson Fiora. That we are, folks, we're eating good, is the way I'll levy that one. Crimson Fiora, Quacks, I mean, whew, this could be fun.
Yeah, this is a champion that is super seldom picked in the competitive landscape, but every time it is, you know that you're in for an absolute fiesta or you're in for an absolute masterclass. And given that this is Crimson, yeah,
hopefully we don't get NA Fiora, right? That's what.
Hopefully we get a Fiora that is speaking fluent Mandarin here for game number 2 from the side of Crimson. If there's any guy that I trust to pilot the Fiora in a proper manner, it's the former Riven one trick Slayer.
Yeah. That's a good shout out, right? I do think though, as we do seem to have maybe stumbled into a bit of a tech pause coming into game number 2 here. Like you talked about, I like this Mountaineers composition a lot more too, for the aspect that there are some pretty clear denials to what Marivel want to do in these fights, right? A Pop Blossom value from Cryogen loses a bit of its, oomph. Because you now have a Black Shield from AO Leos. If somebody gets caught, you kind of sneak out of the Pop Blossom. And then, obviously, the Taric ultimate coming over top. If the Pop Blossom comes in and you don't get all this pretty burst-oriented damage with the Jhin and the Talia down, you get to outlast and sustain through this fight, where who really feels comfortable on the MU side doing that after you use all of your ultimates? It's maybe Crimson, but you definitely, if you're West Virginia, can catch Marivel in a tough spot engaging this game versus what we saw from the last one.
I mean, it's really hard to see Music having an engage, right, in the 5v5s, right? Because all of his engage is single target focused, right? You Black Shield the individual that Music is going for, and boom, the engage is negated. So I think a lot of the startup of fights for the side of Marivel is going to need to be from Cryogen, right? Because not only does that provide engage, it's on multiple members, potentially, right? You can't Black Shield them all, Aeolio. So the idea is that you need the multi-man engage to be starting up the fights. You can't really have Music be the guy, assault and batterying forward, because then he's just going to be in the middle of 5. He's going to get taken down, and it's going to be up to Marivel to try and bail him out, where they might be over-forcing their hand, extending themselves a little too far, and possibly get taken down because of it.
We'll have to see, though. I am getting word that, it's a bit of a struggle to get on to the Game 2 server here, so unfortunately, everybody watching at home, I do have to send us to another break. But hey, last time I sent us there, the problem immediately got fixed, and then we jumped right back into game. So maybe this is a good omen. We'll have to see, and we'll hopefully see you guys shortly on the other side for Game 2 of Marivel University taking on West Virginia U.
Just will play out. Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard. Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard.
Well, the GDOS gods have blessed us here, at least on the Twitch stream, Division 1 League of Legends action, because we are going to be live with Game 2 shortly. We just want to go back through the draft so everybody is on the same page exactly where we are at. I don't know if we're going to go fully back through the draft. Okay, yeah, here we go. So here's the drafts we're looking at right now for West Virginia University and Maryville University. Quacks, just give the people a quick TLDR of what you're expecting for both these comps, starting with the Mountaineers below myself.
Yeah, I think that the Mountaineers here, our main criticism of them from game number 1, Slayer, was that they didn't have a lot of early game firepower and they weren't able to exploit Maryville before they all kind of clumped up together and had that synergy for the late game. I think that this draft really fixes that. I think that there's good synergy between the mid and jungle. Sour and Aeolios should be able to link up as Neferi Morgana and make proactive plays into Music's jungle once that Morgana gets faded ashes. And then the same thing kind of goes for Dinks and Ensues, where you're looking for them to be the aggressors in the early phase. They might get stopped a little bit by the Nico. I know that CC plus the Deadly Flourish route can really stall out for time and make those extended trades pretty difficult to come by as Lucian Taric, but we want them to be the guys getting priority along with Aeolius in the mid lane so that they can allow this Neferi to get scaling on up. For the side of Maryville, though, I'm really putting a lot of agency on this Fiora. This is a counter pick to the Cho'Gath through and through. This is a side lane menace, and hey, it's piloted by the former Riven One Trick and brother to 2 other Riven One Trick, Slayer.
Yeah, so we'll see if Crimson can do some heavy lifting on the top side. Let's go to Summer's Rift now and hopefully stay there comfortably. Game 2, Maryville taking on West Virginia, who are trying to see if they can put a dent in the armor of the undefeated greats here. Ignore all the disconnected things. If you see people moving, that's what's important, and we are moving and grooving back onto the Rift here. And we can now get a look at maybe some of these summoner choices. I don't see anything, or these root choices, I don't see anything too out of ordinary, except for the fact that our awesome observer, Caddy, we are going to have to swap around the Maryville side. It is not Scary Jerry going top lane with this Jhin. Okay, we're working on it. All right.
Yep.
Just making sure.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
All right. We are getting also word.
Yeah. Yeah. Quacks, you know what you say, man. You go ahead.
Yeah, we're getting word that this is an observer pause, so should be able to resume right back to normal, which it is doing. And already, just as the pauses come through, we got no time to breathe. There's action on the Rift.
Oh boy, Scary Jerry. Ooh, gonna get flashed on. The Dark Binding gonna whip from Aeolios, but they
there we go.
Get Scary to flash out of Unraveled Earth, or I guess a Rupture. Excuse me. We already watched. So we will see some Unraveled Earths from Toasty later on here. Does allow all the action on the bot side. It means that Crimson and Music can both set up a ton of vision on the top clear here for Sour. So a little bit of a win there, consolation. But I want to see the Mountaineers target Scary Jerry without the flash. Jhin is a very vulnerable champion without that summoner.
I also think the same can be said for Aeolios, right? On this Morgana, you are not mobile. You do have the Black Shield, but there is still plenty of opportunity for, I think, Maryville to look for aggressive picks into that mid lane. So want to see the proactiveness come out from Sour and Music. And frankly, I think by one of those champions that really struggles to be super proactive on the Rift sometimes without that level 6 and guaranteed lockdown. As huge trade in the bot lane.
Yeah, Scary Jerry and Scary Jerry clone right now, aka Cryogen, doing a really good job. Being super impressive with the range that Nico and Jin bring. Dinks and Ensues need to get comfortable once they can get level 2 around, right? You can link those stuns towards Dinks with the threat of a double stun coming from anywhere. But that's not going to be coming anytime soon here with Scary Jerry and Cryogen already level 2 and bringing a massive wave under the turret. Dinks is yet to pick up a single creep. There we
Dinks
go.
has been struggling in the first 2 waves. Will get level 2 off this one, though, as we actually see Sour is on the Grump. So,
oh, man. Scary Jerry and Cryogen are just so locked in. Didn't miss a single one of those skill shots, and that's first blood over to Scary Jerry via the Deadly Flourish.
And now, I think Sour's early game plan, which was to try and wrap around this Tribush and maybe look for a gank, is going to get foiled as there is no Taric here, so you are 2v2, but you're separated. Your ADC has a massive wave.
All right, and Sour's going to get rooted at the end of his untargetable spell, and he's going to flash over the fat wall towards the bot side. Good look from Sour, but like you mentioned, can't get it done unless the Taric is there.
Didn't even have his AD carry either. Like we said, Dinks needed to catch that wave, really had no ability to move and help out his jungler, so it's a flash burned from the Nefiri. Not a great start to the win condition we said that West Virginia University needed to play for. But we targeted that mid laner, that Morgana, as the person that needed to move along that, with them. And so far, not a lot of action has befell the Rift relative to that mid lane. It's mostly been the side lanes. Action, obviously, the first blood happening there. And now maybe something here going to happen on the top side as Inox is really low.
No mana either to try and cut this wave down. This should just be Music setting up a pretty clean dive. Let's see if Inox can flash over the Vault Breaker to maybe stall out some. He's going to get a level up off the cannon minion. Rupture, flash, but Music times it perfectly. Still gets the stun on the Vault Breaker. That's why they pay Music the big bucks to play for Maryville University right there.
And he's going to miss that entire wave as well. He might pick up a couple of creeps off of that, but that is just such a brutal thing to happen to Inox. Not only do you burn your flash and miss the wave, but Crimson as well retains his flash, retains his teleport, should be able to use it to get right back to lane if he so pleases. And with that Caulfield's Warhammer, will just make your life absolute living hell. This is the kind of win condition we wanted to see Maryville play around.
Ooh. Deja Vu for Sour pops out of the topside jungle onto Scary Jerry. Not enough damage though. They do have a roam down from Aeolios coming, so this is going to be a 4v3 if they can make it work. And Sue not going to land the stun, but they do get the Dark Binding onto Cryogen. Going to go down. Nice double shot there from Dinks. The Mountaineers back on the board early.
I think Cryogen just egoed it a little too much. I think he assumed he could dodge that Dark Binding, but just barely got clipped by it. There'll be another kill, the first actually for the side of West Virginia University, going over to that Lucian. So both of these teams playing according to their win conditions here. But so far, it just feels like Maryville have set theirs up so much better for success. Crimson still has Flash, is in a position where he can possibly get another solo kill onto Inox. Can't really say the same for Dinks and Ensues, who up until that point had been struggling to really get a positive trade in the 2v2s.
Crimson looking to run down Inox right now. Slow on the riposte. Just going to keep going for those sweet spots. Good dodge on the next Rupture here from Crimson. Really locking in on this duelist Fiora. And thankful for Inox that we're just a little too early on for Fiora to bring a ton of damage in that 1v1.
Sour is up on this top side. Some Music with the pushing lane should be able to secure the first objective of the game. It'll be the Hextech Dragon for them. Now it's just kind of a question of those grubs coming up in a few minutes here. Will West Virginia University actually look and opt to fight for them? Because I feel like this is an objective that if you are the Mountaineers, you can't really afford to give up. A Fiora with 3 grubs is really, really terrifying, and it just means that your top laner is going to be locked into dealing with him the entire game on a side lane.
Not a fun feat, but are impressed to see how the Mountaineers have once again adopted that scrappy West Virginia-esque college identity that we know them for so well in so many other titles and sports. playing this very creative draft. I am excited to see how this Morgana and Neferi can link up to kind of support each other with the Taric. Again, West Virginia, they do have avenues to play fast, but they have such a creative 5v5 out that I'm excited to see once we get out of these lane assignments if they can do so a little bit more unscathed than they were in game number 1.
But I feel like before that Neferi can really put pedal to the metal, you've got to free up this Morgana. Has the Lost Chapter, but I don't really think is going to be able to one-shot those waves until you have the Blackfire Torch. So that's going to be the really big spike that I'm looking at for Aeolios here, and possibly a point where Marivel can exploit this Morgana.
Good flick back there on the seismic shove. Aeolios going to flash away from Toasty. Here comes Sour and ensues. Maybe not expecting the Taric link up. This is the power you bring with Taric and these dueling junglers. Stun gonna land onto Music. Flash away from another good flick back though out of Toasty.
He has ult.
And Sour without ult doesn't feel like fighting, but as you called out, Cease and Desist is available. Music gonna hold on to it. They feel like they get the kill onto Ensues without it. And there it is, the E to come through here. Stun gonna land onto Music. Heal has to come across. He's gonna Cease and Desist right back onto Dinks' head. And the stun lock comes across. Crygen picks up that kill. Dark Binding gonna land onto Toasty Alex, but there's not enough damage out of Aeolios to find that trade. Good little skirmish coming out from the Saints.
Really good discipline there from Music as well, holding that cease and desist, understanding that the kill onto Itsu's is essentially a foregone conclusion. He was just too far up, too caught out, used that flash too early, and then the moment he sees Dinks, he does not hesitate to slam that Archie on his head and secure another kill for his team.
So now you get a look at the gold leads across the board. Right now, major stakes, especially in the top side and mid lane. The solo lanes for MU really showing up. The new guys as well, right? We talked about Crimson and Toasty looking to solidify themselves as mainstays as Marivel looks to once again defend their CLOL championship and crown themselves Div 1 champions down the line. Crygen, though, good catch there from Sour, again, using that Taric stun to send these dashing assassins forward and giving them a free CC chain to pick up the kill. Oh my god, Sour wants more. Scary brings him under the turret, though, with a good flash, and Sour has to think twice about it. Dink's going to drop the damage back through. The Colleen comes across, but Scary Jerry going to use the turret to kite back safely. Curtain call down for Scary Jerry. Shouldn't be able to find any kills, though. Everyone looking virtually healthy enough, but maybe good old SJ just wants to make sure nobody can dive him on the re-engage.
Yeah. You can see that last shot, he was targeting the wave, making sure that it could be thinned out and not crash onto his head in case we, West Virginia University, we're actually looking for that play. As speaking of dives.
All right, we're going after Inox. See if we can outplay another dive here. Ooh, the riposte slow was just enough to get Toasty close enough for multiple rocks to find their mark there, so Inox dies once more. Sour looking for a response on the top side here. Crygen threatening Tangle Barb stun. Music trying to play bodyguard. Good use of the clone. There's a good root coming across. Deadly Flourish not going to land. Target Bolt forced out of Sour, but there's the Crygen damage over top. Music doing such a good job weaving in and out of these engages. Despite the low health bars, Music is leading forward like a trident spear pointed right at the Mountaineers. And this TP, a good look, but a little bit too late here from Inox. And now he's trapped among 3 members. Flashes after Scary Jerry, but doesn't even get the Devour down. The barrier not needed, but Scary Jerry makes me think twice. Actually gives Inox a very clutch kill onto the Cho'Gath.
But even that teleport to secure the kill is a double-edged sword because sure, you get the shutdown and you finally take out Scary Jerry, but look at the bot lane. Hang on,
Toasty, I love this link up. Ensues and Sour playing together to chase down single targets. We'll be happy to get the flash off of the Talia.
They burn Toasty Alex's flash. They're setting themselves up nicely for kills, but I just feel like the cross-map plays from Marivel are that much better. They look for a dive onto the Jhin potentially, it doesn't go successfully, and then Marivel do the same thing on the bot side, it goes successfully. Feels like every single attempt that West Virginia University looked to go for, Marivel do the same thing and they are successful. And I feel like there is no more bigger conclusion to success than this Fiora at the current moment. I mean, look at the CS difference between the top laners, Slayer, and try not to smile.
Yeah, it's Crimson is back on this Fiora. All right, let's test Scary Jerry's aim. Oh, good stun comes across from Ensues. The 4th shot did actually go through, but Dink's good job putting his dancing shoes on there. Ensues should be fine. He's relatively tanky, you would think. We don't have an item on Scary Jerry just yet, but when he gets away from another glitter stun, picks up the kill on to Ensues.
Good little pickup there from Maraville. I like Music's confidence. He actually could have Vault Breaker toward them to help secure it, but he said, I got better things to do as he clears his camps, and now Tower's in the bush.
All right, Sour's going to pop out and make sure Dinks is comfortable under his own turret for now. That turret soon to fall. Lots of plates are once again being garnered by Maraville. It's got them up 6,000 gold, much thanks to a lot of the plates they've been able to garner. Also have control of all those neutrals like we saw from game number 1. But I like West Virginia not taking any peace of mind to play slow. They're going right after Scary Jerry again. Good pop blossom for Cryogen, though. Catches Sour trying to kill off the AD carry Maraville. And look at the re-engage from Music. Seeks an assist forward. Dinks is going to throw down the berry. He wants to chase Scary Jerry through, but the culling is mispositioned, and the Terra Gold comes just a little bit too late. Ensue's going to flash out, but he gets caught by another double snare combo. It's Deadly Flourish and Tangle Barb again, like clockwork from this Maraville bottom lane. It's a double kill back over to Cryogen.
And now Aeolios is getting ran down possibly by Music. The tower is going to fall 2 at the same time for Maraville, just like game number 1.
Good flash from Aeolios. Gets him away from Music, but yeah, this has gone from bad to worse very quickly. Gotta commend West Virginia, though. Again, so many teams, when they fall behind quickly, would kind of just want to resort to farming waves, like turtling really safe, but that's not going to get you back in this game. You need to be ever aggressive, and some of these looks are smart, but Maraville is just too on point right now to let anything go.
I think Maraville are just locked in for this series, and frankly, Crimson has been the beneficiary, I think, of a lot of these plays. He managed to pick up almost the entire tower on that bot side off that earlier TP from Inox. So this Fiora, almost at 2 items at 14 minutes, is definitely going to be running over West Virginia University as they pick up all 15 plates on the map, Slayer.
Rarely see that in the game of League of Legends for sure. And Inox very far up, trying to just farm comfortably, maybe get himself some Devour stacks. Not going to be the case. He's going to be routed way too far out of position, given all those turrets dropping. Another kill. Actually, the first for Toasty Alex of our game, too.
Yep, Toasty. Not really, you know, we talk about the big beneficiary being Crimson. The one who isn't is definitely Toasty Alex on this Talia, which is contrary to his game number 1 performance, as Music is... Or no, that's Cryogen. I'm getting Nico'd.
You are, in fact, getting Nico'd. And so, hey, is Sour. Some of you have heard this one before. It's a Tangle Barb into a Deadly Flourish root combination. It's going to lock Sour up. And Sue's trying to play on the range, on the edge of his range with the Cosmic Radiance. He's going to have to ult at some point, you'd think. Doesn't end up casting it and will fall. And look at Sir Crimson flying forward with the Fiora ultimate. Gets a huge heal, goes on a rampage. Cryogen's turn to shine. Gets one with the big time Nico ultimate. It's the Black Shield onto Sour that saves him from falling, but oh, it's another Deadly Flourish from Scary Jerry, and it's Crimson to riposte on forward and find another kill for the Saints.
Crimson 5-0-0 on the Fiora. It's 3-18 in kills. And now the Herald on spawn is going to be taken down. Poor guy, honestly. You ever think that there's like a waiting room that the pets are in while they wait to spawn after they get like either taken down or just waiting to get onto the map? And then immediately after they die, they go back to the waiting room. The Herald was having a nice cordial conversation with like red and blue buff and then said, all right, it's my time, guys. See you later. Oh, hey, I'm right back. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, maybe they were in a deep discussion about something, and maybe he's happy to get back so quickly. You know, normally, like you mentioned, Rift Herald doesn't get off the Rift that quickly, so it's a little
like Herald
positive.
Would start a podcast with the jungle pets. Sounds like a fun concept.
I wonder, would there be? Here's the question, right? Would the podcast be like river-centric, so the dragons, the Herald, the Baron, like all of those big monsters can talk together?
Maybe
or
they're
would
like
it be,
competing.
It's
like the bit.
Yeah, or would it be a competition between like the top side camps versus the bottom side camps, right? That could be the competition part.
Yeah.
We'll see if Crimson can handle
Crimson
a
is
potential.
trying to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want competition? What about 1v3 with the Fear ultimate on to Sour. The flash just a little bit too late. Crimson picks up the first kill now. Inox is going to go down second. Crimson really showing out. Now he's got the support of his squad. The Cosmic Radiance coming across, but it's too little, too late to save Dinks. It's a triple kill to Crimson, and he wants more. He wants the highlight reel. Give him the quadra kill, and I see the pinks coming down. It's Scary Jerry flashing forward. Curtain call for the slow. It's a pentakill for Crimson in Division 1 Week 4.
They may not be seeing Crimson, but they're seeing a whole heck of a lot of black and white for the side of West Virginia University. It is a pentakill for Crimson, 3-23 in kills. Maryville have more kills in this game than minutes in the game.
And they want more here, Quacks, but this time Crimson, I think, has met his match. 1 versus 4, but he makes it close nearly on the big-time heal. Scary Jerry finds one back, and now it's his turn to do the old-fashioned limit test. Stun. Oh, and Sue flashes just a little bit too late to find the mark there, but they've at least cut down the angle. Scary Jerry can't get away from that rupture. The silence lands, and there should be a feast coming down, or it's a double tap from Dinks. There's the ultimate from Inox to get himself a valuable stack and a ton of gold.
You have to think that Scary Jerry in the voice comms was like, it's my turn to 1v5 Penta. And then after he inevitably isn't there to succeed, he says, all right, this is why AD carry needs a buff and or top lane needs a nerf. And Slayer, I feel like as the AD carry player, you can at least subscribe to that thought process, right? That the AD carry buffs, they must happen, right, in order to 1v5 the enemy team.
Yeah, what the heck, guys? I should be able to 1v5 every game possible. What's going on here? Listen, there's a 10-1 Fiora, nerf top lane, all right? It should be a 10-1 Scary Jerry Jin. That's all I'm saying.
It certainly is a scary Jin, even without the score line, as now a Drake up, not anytime soon. 3.5 minutes until that gets onto the Rift, so that just means Maryville have 3.5 minutes to play with their food here almost, as they're just going for the Morgana.
Oh boy. Aeolios trying to kite back. The black shield gives him some space. Going to drop the soul shackles, but nothing can hold down Crimson. Oh, hey, you know what? Hey, the chatters know right there. Yeah. We also have a podcast, by the way. I was a part of the last episode, Tilt Proof, where we break down all the week's games. So, Quacks, good setup from you. I'm going to give you credit there because you definitely were thinking of Tilt Proof when you brought up the podcast conversations. We'll be talking about this week 4 on Tilt Proof. Comes out every week before matches on Sundays and Mondays. Let's see if we get another Dancing Shelly here. Quacks, so you wanted it in the first game? Will we get in the second game? Cryogen alongside Toasty going to separate the West Virginia defenders.
No, Shelly.
Inox going to go down as long as Shelly falls as well. Crimson now going under the turret. There are no turrets to stop him. It's pandemonium in the base of West Virginia, but there's no kills to be found for the Mountaineers as they are grounded once more by the Saints. Toasty flashing for a nice seismic shove, finds Aeolios, and this should wrap it up quicker than the last game. It's Maryville going into the halftime of Division 1 Fall Split, undefeated, 4-0, your top team in Division 1 League of Legends.
Everyone felt like it was coming, but still, that definitely doesn't feel, it still feels good for the Maryville boys to come out 4-0 here in Division 1, even if a lot of people were predicting it to be the case, Slayer. And we said that it was Toasty Alex's game number 1 to 1v9. This was definitely Crimson's game number 2 to 1v9 as he gets himself a Fiora pentakill practically in 1v5 fashion.
Hey, shout out all of our TikTok viewers if you're out there. You will very likely see that as one of the top 5 plays of the week from Division 1 League of Legends. Excited to see that one back. Gotta make sure to plug all of our socials. But yeah, Quacks, you said it best. Maryville take care of business, but you know, I do want to come away from this one for West Virginia 1-3. They're still currently in the playoffs of now with that record. There were some positive signs. I am very impressed by that West Virginia Mountaineer spirit of not backing down to any sort of challenge, looking to climb any sort of mountain, even if they did stumble a bit here. They gave it their all, especially in that second game with the creative draft we saw.
Yeah, for sure. I really like the pocket picks coming out from West Virginia University. And for a program that literally just got its legs this year, I think that it is really cool to see them challenging teams and players on Maryville University. You said it in game number 2, but a lot of teams in the situation that West Virginia were in for that second game, they would kind of just say, all right, let's play turtle, let's farm, let's just try and scale. But they kept looking for plays. They kept looking for aggressive angles. They kept fighting until the Nexus exploded. Not only is that a mentality that I think is going to serve them well, but it's also a gameplay choice that I think is going to be the difference between them making playoffs and not. And I think after this series, it certainly would be exciting to get them in the top 6. So behind the scenes, we'll have to see what happens to them, but really looking forward to seeing what the future holds for these boys on West Virginia University. The Mountaineers certainly have my eye for the rest of this for the rest of the season.
Looking a bit ahead as well for what is going to be a next year for both of our squads going into the next week. Trying to pull up the standings here on the website to check out exactly what we should be seeing. I believe it is going to be so this is
Utah.
Utah for West Virginia, right? So Maryville is a tough pill to swallow, but
and then Ohio State.
Yeah, so they get to play they get to play Utah they should be favoring at the second win, and then Ohio State. That's a big one, Quacks, when we talk about shaking up the standings below our proverbial top 3. If you can take down Ohio State, you puts West Virginia in good running with, I would say, Stony Brook to be maybe that fourth squad.
Yeah, for sure. I am actually interested to see how that pans out, because week 7 is their week to go up against Winthrop. So you have 2 series where we're probably looking to have them scale up a little bit, and then one where I would say, you talk about that top 3 Slayer. Winthrop are certainly in the conversation of that top 3. So West Virginia certainly less favored in that final week. But yeah, I really liked what we saw from them, even if it did amount to an 0-2 at the end of the day,
right.
Against Maryville. I think that these players, I like what was shown from them in this best of 3.
Use the word conversation. We're going to be having a conversation with the winning AD carry after a short break here. So stay tuned. We're going to chat a little bit about Scary Jerry and Maryville's 4th win in a row in Division 1. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long. So lock in your picks, track your progress, and see if you've got what it takes to top the Division 1 Pick'ems leaderboard.
Welcome back in a flash, everybody, as we are joined by the victorious AD carry from Maryville. It is Scary Jerry. Tapping in to chat with us after the 2-0 win versus West Virginia. Scary, I'm going to throw you a softball to start. I mean, I know it's tumultuous to get through this series thanks to unforeseen circumstances that everyone playing League of Legends is going through right now. But how you feeling? 4-0, halfway point of Division 1, getting that convincing win over the Mountaineers.
Feeling good, honestly. But, I just want to shout out the enemy team that we played today. They really were giving it their all. They were dealing with the same circumstances as us, but they were still trying to fight through it every moment. Also, shout out, all the glory to God for that win. And for, again, like you said, the situation, it was hard, so.
Absolutely. Love that jacket, by the way. I'm also a tried and true Gengier. Yep, we'll be rooting for them at Worlds. It's Chovy's year, as I say, for the 6th year in a row. But I am kind of interested. So obviously, back at Maryville University, right? What is the what would you say is like the primary goal for you specifically here in Division 1, right? Because obviously this is a smaller pool of teams. What is the primary thing that you're looking to either improve on or get out of the regular season here, and subsequently the playoffs that you guys are predicted to make it to?
I mean, discipline, thankfully our coach Niles, he sets goals for us every week, and, he has very harsh punishments if we don't meet those goals.
Yep.
Last week I had to run I'm not going to say almost 3 miles, but it was more than 2 miles at 9 a.m. And this week, if we don't get Dragon Soul by 25 minutes, then we need to run laps. So, thank you, Niles, for, giving us direction in this league and these games, honestly. All the glory to him. Again, it's all about giving people their flowers.
Yeah. Hey, I love the updates too. I want to shout out Coach Niles. I hope he keeps us tapped in. I saw you getting the steps in. We saw the pot roast as well with music. That was cool. I appreciate Niles giving us that little look into your team chemistry. And speaking on that, Scary Jerry, obviously you've seen some exits from the Maryville core that you guys had for those many years. You now have Shimmer and Music in the jungle, Crimson up to the top side replacing Zamudo, and then Cryogen. How has it been helping integrate these guys into the starting five? And all the iterations you guys have been able to play with creatively with the roster Maryville brings into the end of 2025 and next year looking forward.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty excited, honestly. This roster is really cool. A lot of chill guys. Again, all the glory to my teammates. Like you saw the way that the Nico ease that Cryogen was landing. What? Why are you laughing? But, I really love this team. They have a lot of potential, and they're hungry. They're hungry for it. You can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you said, all the glory to your teammates, but is there anyone else as we close down the stream here that you want to shout out, that you want to give thanks to, either in the Maryville department or outside, just more IRL thinking here after the series?
The person that does the YouTube shorts for D1, shout out them. Amazing shorts.
Yep.
Great content. So.
Yep. Hey, you know what? I love it. Yeah, shout out the socials. They don't get enough
everyone.
love. Yeah, shout out everyone. Appreciate you, Scary Jerry. Congrats on that 2-0 win over West Virginia. We'll see you next week taking on Boise State. We're gonna say peace out to Scary Jerry. By that point, one of the premier 80 carries we have here in Division 1, and we will be seeing a lot more of him. But that does wind down our broadcast here, Quacks. Any final thoughts on your first Division 1 cast and another dominating Maryville win?
I am glad I am here, and I cannot wait for more. That's all I got to say.
All right, keeping it short and sweet here. Hopefully, whatever's going on the league servers is going to be short and sweetly fixed.
Not sweet.
We're hoping for that. Yeah, not sweet now. Hopefully, we get
it's
sweeter
making me
on
salty.
later.
Not sweet.
Good correction there from you, Quacks. We will, of course, be back with Division 1 League of Legends next Sunday for a more slate of matches. Make sure to check out Tilt Proof as well. We'll have a very fun mid-season sort of superlatives conversation we'll be having on there. Those will go live before Sunday and Monday slate, and hopefully we'll see you guys back here for more Division 1 League of Legends as we move into the second half. If you want more league action tonight, though, I'm pretty sure. Okay, maybe no. I think the other broadcast is also down. So we will see you guys next week for more Division 1 action. Week 5 coming your way. Take care until then.
Think you know how today's matches will play out? Prove it with Division 1 pick'ems. Follow along and put your predictions to the test. Each week, you can make your picks for both Valorant and League of Legends, or just stick to your favorite game. Predict the winners of our future matches and choose the players you think will have the biggest impact. Every correct pick earns you points. The more points you score, the higher you climb on that leaderboard. At the top, you'll find prizes waiting for you at the end of the split. It's easy to play, adds excitement to every match, and keeps you connected with the action all season long.